Yesterday was the 100th anniversary of the federal income tax, the 16th Amendment. Funny, it occurred in a month dubbed National Financial Capability Month by President Obama. But exactly whose capability is being promoted? I thought about the old song by the Beatles, Taxman. Should 5% appear too small? Be thankful I don't take it all, because I'm the tax man. Yeah, I'm the tax man. If you drive a car, I'll tax the street. If you try to sit, I'll tax your seat. If you get too cold, I'll tax the heat. If you take a walk, I'll tax your feet. But it is the closing line which is truly disturbing if you ponder the perspective. And you're working for no one but me. The personal income tax was created in 1913 and entailed less than 600 pages. The instruction for the 1040 form came on one page, and the top marginal tax rate was 7%. It was also supposed to have been temporary in nature. Today, the tax code has close to 75,000 pages. The instructions for the 1040 form has nearly 190 pages, and the top marginal tax rate is 39.6%. What has also occurred is Tax Freedom Day, the day on which an American will, on average, start working for anything besides taxes, is coming later in the year, according to the Tax Foundation. The Tax Freedom Day at the turn of the century came in the third week of January. Now, Tax Freedom Day comes on April the 18th, so you still have to the end of the week before you are then working for yourself. And up to this point, you have been working for the federal, state, and local governments and their taxation. On average, almost 30% of American total income goes toward taxes. We now have not just personal income taxes, but also capital gains, dividends, and death taxes. Yep, a form of taxing inheritance. Our corporate business tax rate is the highest in the world. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act has introduced 21 new taxes with a cost of over $1 trillion in order to fund the 159 new government agencies and bureaucracies associated with the law. We now know that thanks to the Supreme Court of the United States, Congress has been granted immense taxing authority to mandate an American citizen enter into a private sector contract for a commodity, or else the government can tax you for failure to do so. That was the individual mandate tax. The Obamacare taxes span the spectrum of serious, the medical device tax, to the insidious, the tanning tax. And recently, Representative Carolyn Maloney, Democrat of New York, has proposed a gun tax, which would force Americans to purchase gun insurance under penalty, read tax, of $10,000 if not in compliance. President Obama's fiscal year 2014 budget calls for $1.1 trillion in new taxes. This just coming off the $600 billion in new taxes on the 1st of January 2013. What is even more heinous is that the Obama's budget proposes to cap tax-free retirement accounts of Americans. Can anyone say Cyprus? And please, don't bore me with the liberal progressive talking point about needing more revenue. We are at a high water mark of $2.8 trillion of revenue. See, the incessant federal government spending is what is causing these $1 trillion deficits. But even Obama's proposed increase in taxes pales to these proposals. The Senate Democrat budget, $1.5 trillion. The House Democrat Caucus budget, $1.2 trillion. The Congressional Black Caucus budget, $2.9 trillion. And the Congressional Progressive Caucus budget, $5.7 trillion new tax increases. And let us not forget that President Obama paid an effective tax rate of 18.4%. I guess those horrible exemptions and deductions were okay for he and the First Lady. Of course, he demanded the top rate go from 35% to 39.6%. See, it was Sir Winston Churchill who stated in 1903, "We contend that for a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle." President Calvin Coolidge argued against higher tax rates, saying, "Experience does not show that higher rates produces larger revenue. Experience is all the other way. When the surtax on incomes of over $300,000 and over was but 10%, the revenue was about the same as it was at 65%. But President John Kennedy stated, a tax cut means higher family income and higher business profits and a balanced federal budget. As the national income grows, the federal government will ultimately end up with more revenues. Prosperity is the real way to balance our budget. By lowering tax rates, by increasing jobs and income, we can expand tax revenues and finally bring our budget into balance. So where did this idea about a heavy progressive and graduated income tax come from? It was introduced in a book as the second plank for a new social economic theory. The book was written in 1848. Its author was Karl Heinrich Marx, and the book's title was the Communist Manifesto. President Ronald Reagan said this about socialism: socialists ignore the side of man that is the spirit. They can provide you shelter, fill your belly with bacon and beans, treat you when you're ill, all the things guaranteed to a prisoner or a slave. They don't understand that we also dream. The next generation requires leaders who understand their dreams, dreams of entrepreneurial spirit, innovation, ingenuity, prosperity, and success, not servitude, egalitarianism, and diminished opportunity. Their hard-earned capital is best in their pockets for economic growth, and not in the pocket of the taxman who decides based upon from each according to their ability to each according to their need.